Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi. Yang berusaha Puan Nurliza binti Abdul Razak selaku panel yang pertama, yang berusaha Dr. Idrul binti Ismail selaku panel yang kedua, serta yang dikasihi rakan siswa guru sekalian. Saya Muhammad Zain Suhaili sebagai pengacara anda pada hari ini. Bersama-sama saya ditemani oleh Muhammad Arif bin Syafi'i sebagai penjaga masa anda bagi sesi pembentangan pada pagi ini. Sebelum sesi pembentangan dimulakan, saya akan membacakan peraturan sepanjang sidang pembentangan dijalankan. Pertama, peruntukan masa untuk sesi pembentangan hanyalah 15 minit sahaja. Peruntukan masa untuk sesi jawab pula adalah 5 minit sahaja dan bermula apabila pembentang mula memberikan respon. Pada 5 minit pertama, loging pertama akan dibunyikan sekali dan kad masa 10 minit akan diangkat. Pada minit ke-10, loging kedua akan dibunyikan sekali lagi dan kad masa 5 minit akan diangkat. Pada minit ke-15, loging ketiga akan dibunyikan 2 kali dan kad masa tamat diangkat menandakan masa pembentangan telah tamat. Selepas tamat 5 minit soal jawab, loging keempat akan dibunyikan 2 kali dan kad masa tamat diangkat, menandakan masa soal jawab tamat. Panel hanya boleh mula bertanyakan soalan apabila telah tamatnya sesi pembentangan. Pertanyaan soalan daripada para panel penilai perlu diutamakan terlebih dahulu daripada panel lain. Yang terakhir, pengurusi berhak untuk mendiamkan mikrofon peserta atau penilai semasa sesi soal jawab jika didapati telah melebihi tempoh masa yang ditetapkan. Baiklah, majlis diteruskan dengan pembentangan yang pertama daripada saudari Syafiah binti Muhammad Basri dari unit TESEL untuk membentangkan kajiannya. Persilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syafiq bin Muhammad Basri. A big good morning to the panelists, panel 1, Dr. Nurliza, and the second panel, Dr. Idrul. Okay, so my research title is Measuring the Awareness of Reading Strategies Among the TASA Students, and I am under the supervision of Sir Muhammad Shamsuzaman bin Abdullah. Okay, so as for the introduction, we all know that English is taught as a second language in Malaysian schools. Hence, it is very important for us to learn English. And the English language curriculum for primary school consists of 5 modules: listening, speaking, reading, writing, and language arts. Okay, so I will focus on the reading in my study. In terms of reading ability, the content standard in the SPP emphasis on the students' ability to learn to read, understand meaning, and read independently for enjoyment. It means that the students need to acquire this ability, these reading skills, and when they acquire the language, they will not feeling forced to do so. It means that they enjoy the reading. Okay, as future English teachers, the trainee needs to be aware of this for them to be prepared with the reading skills to apply in their teaching of the language. Okay, so this is my problem statement. First one, respondents have not been exposed to various reading strategies, especially in reading academic-related materials. So the reading strategies here is the block reading strategies, problem-solving strategies, and support strategies. Next is the new requirement. It has become a new requirement for the TASA students for them to achieve C1 or C2 in the active test, or a minimum of band 5 in Malaysian University English test, for them to be graduate and to be posted in school. Okay, next is the research objective and research question. You can see here the first research objective is to measure the TASA students' level of awareness in reading strategies. And the second one is to identify the dominant reading strategies used in reading academic-related materials. And the third is to find out the difference between male and female students' awareness of reading strategies. The research question is aligned with the research objective, which the first research question is what is the level of awareness among TASA students in reading strategies? And the second one is what is the dominant reading strategies used in reading academic related material. And the last one, is there any difference between male and female students' awareness of reading strategies? Next. Okay, so this is the limitation in my research. It is on the sample size where I use Masa June 2021 intake. It is quite a small size population, and based on the findings, the result can be generalized to all the tested students in different cohort or in different RPGM. Okay, next. Next, the related theory. So, in this study, I used Clever's metacognitive theory in 1976. First, let's get into the meaning of metacognition. What is metacognition? So, metacognition is to characterize. Clever coined the term metacognition as to characterize an individual's awareness of and control over their own cognitive process in order to facilitate optimal learning. In simpler words, it means that it is about one's own thinking process in learning. So in reading, it is about giving one's full attention to the task at hand in order to fully understand the matter better. In my research, I stress on the reading academic materials. So I applied the Clever's metacognitive theory in terms of reading for them to apply the metacognitive theory especially in reading, for them to absorb the important points in the text. Okay, next. Okay, next. This is the little past research. The reading strategies awareness among English as a second language learners initiative by University et al. 2011, and research from 2021 and country from 2021. And from this past research, from the sample, the population is all different. This one, Rosella et al. From Malaysia, and Do and Pan from Vietnam, and the last one country is from Nepal. But what I can conclude among all of this past research is that there's no significant difference among the male and female awareness of reading strategies. However, there is a difference in what kind of strategies are frequently used by the sample, by the respondent. Next is conceptual framework. Here, the problem reading strategies, problem solving strategies, support strategies, all under the metacognitive reading strategy, which is the independent variable, and the dependent variable is the awareness of reading strategies. Okay, next we get into the methodology. First one, I will talk about the research respondent. I use PSME Tester June 2021 intake, which consists of 57 students. So, among the 57 students, I took 15 of them for the pilot study and 42 of them for the actual study. And as for research approach, it is a quantitative. As for this research design, I use survey, and this questionnaire have two components. Which is section A is about demography and collect their age, their gender, and their class, which they are among class 1, class 2, and class 3. And as for section B, it has 30 questions on the awareness of metacognitive reading strategies. And as for the data collection procedure, the Google Form link to each, I give the Google Form link to each class representative through WhatsApp. And as for the data analysis procedure, I use descriptive analysis, mean, and temperature statistic t-test. Okay, next is the instrument use. This is the instrument use. It is fully adapted for Montari and Shoyi on the survey of reading strategies 2002. Okay, why I say that it is fully adapted, because I contacted the researcher, contacted Montari, and he said that I'm allowed to use this instrument. However, I cannot do any amendment on the instrument itself. I mean, I have to use all the full of the instruments. Okay, and this instrument is a closed-ended question, and I use fun-related skills, never, rarely, sometimes, always, and often. Okay, next. Okay, this is the pilot study. So the pilot study I mentioned earlier that involved 15 teacher trainees from June 2020. And this is the combat alpha, the value of combat alpha calculated using SPS version 27. It is 0.859. And according to table 2017, he said that combat alpha values of 0.7 or higher show that the internal consistency is good. It means that my instrument is considered as reliable. Okay, next. Okay, now let's get into the findings for research question. So this is the first research question, what is the level of awareness among classes students in reading strategies? Okay, so first let's get into what Razila et al. 2011 said that she said that a moderate usage shows the lack of awareness on such techniques. So I've simplified the table, and as for me, for global reading strategies, we can see that 9 of the students, among 42 of them, are in the moderate categories, means that they are lack of awareness on these reading strategies. But I can sum up that most of them, like you can see that they are categorized in height category, because you can see that for global reading strategies, we have 53 of them in high category, and as for problem solving strategies, 41 of them, and for support strategies, 32 of them. Okay, I followed the main interpretation from Thailand 2015, where it says that the height is from 3.68 until 5. Okay, next. Okay, this is the final findings for research question 2. What is the dominant reading strategies used in reading academic related materials? So, from the table here, we can see that the need for the problem solving strategies is the highest, where it has a value of 4.3. Meanwhile, for global reading strategy, 4.1, and for support strategies is 4.1 also. And the need for problem solving strategies is definitely higher than the global reading strategies and the support reading strategies. And according to Hatri 2021 in his research, I said that problem solving strategies were likely to be found more frequently used by the higher level learners, like because in my sample, my MR population, it says that I take them from classes students, so it shows that they themselves is a higher level learner. Okay, so as for the item from problem solving strategies, okay, the item 40 has the highest mean, where the rank is 4.55. It is on the statement is when text becomes difficult, I pay closer attention to what I am reading. It shows that most of the respondents agree with this. They use these problem solving strategies often. Okay, next. Okay, next is findings for research question number 3. Is there any difference between male and female students' awareness of reading strategies? Okay, so here we can see it is significant to tell that 0.2 to 3, and it shows the p-value is higher than 0.05, so it means that no significant difference between male and female. And same as Joe and Pat in 2021, they also the result in his research, in his study, also found that no significant difference between male and female when it comes to using strategies. However, Temu and Pahat in 2011, he found that there is significant in male and female awareness of reading strategies. It depends on the respondent. Okay, next. Okay, this is the conclusion for the findings. Like say that teacher trainees have metacognitive awareness reading strategies at various level of frequency. Some studies might find a global reading strategy as the highest. Some might find that the support strategy is the highest. But in my research, we can see that the problem solving strategies were found more frequently used by the teacher trainees. And the last conclusion is there is no significant difference between male and female students' awareness of reading strategies. Okay, next. Okay, suggestion. So as for the future research, I would like to suggest for the research to use a large sample of teacher trainees from all over FPGM. It is recommended because since my population is small, the result cannot be generalized to all the FPGM. Okay, and as for the second suggestion is to consider using multiple data collection method to cross-validate data and provide more thorough research. It means that the researcher can use mixed methods in the future research. Okay, next. Next, the implication. I have two implications here. The first one is for the institute, and the second one is for the trainees. As for the institute can integrate metacognitive awareness reading strategies into the reading lesson. For example, into one of the subject of, as for example, teaching the SPP2023. I found the second it is about teaching for reading. Okay, and as for the trainees, they can have the awareness of these reading strategies and demonstrate the strategies for them to comprehend tests and cope with comprehension problem. Because, like I said, the one problem statement, it is compulsory for all the test students under IPGM to achieve C1 or a minimum than 5 in word for them to be graduated and to be posted in schools. And, okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Terima kasih atas keterangan sebentar tadi. Majlis diteruskan dengan sesi soal jawab. Dipersilakan panel untuk mengajukan soalan.
Alright, good morning ladies and gentlemen and my colleagues and Madam Nofiza. Alright. As usual, I always will say that you have presented your presentation very good, very well. Okay, well done. Because you have presented it smoothly, okay, and you showed to us your self-confidence. Alright, I would like you to take a look at your research question. The topic of your research and your third research question. Okay, alright. Let focus on your research topic. Okay, measuring the awareness, alright, of reading studies among the TESOL students. We find out that based on your explanation just now, your presentation just now, actually you try to determine the awareness level of reading studies. Am I right?
Yes.
So why don't you add the concept terms level there, the awareness level of reading studies. Okay, focus on your research topic. Okay.
So means that I include the
just add the terms level. Okay, after awareness, measuring the awareness level of reading. That is my suggestion. Okay, you better refer to your supervisor. Okay, the second issue here is you use what you call the two vital concepts in relation to reading strategies, the concept of reading strategies, and PSS, problem solving skill. Strategies. There are two strategies here. Three strategies.
Yes.
Whereas you focus or emphasize on the reading strategies. So, explain to us what is the relation between these three strategies. Between these three strategies regarding the concept of reading studies, because we haven't seen that you haven't explained to us regarding what you mean by reading strategies. Okay.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, so the reading strategies that I mentioned, okay, in English, in learning English, we have a lot of reading strategies. One of them is top-down, bottom-up approach. Okay, but in my study, I focus on these three metacognitive reading strategies. Okay, metacognitive is about self-awareness. So the global reading strategies, the problem-solving strategies, and the support strategies. All of these three strategies is under the metacognitive strategies. It means the learner's self-awareness. Okay, so the global reading strategies is about how one person take a look at the text. Okay, in my study, I focus on academic related materials. So before they read the materials, they will take a look. Okay, what am I going to read? What this is about? Okay, that is for global reading strategies. They need to know the clear insight on what the text first, the reading materials. And as for problem-solving strategies, it is about how does the learners comprehend with the text. Like, okay, for example, I will highlight the words that I don't know in the text. So that later they will check, they will search Google, okay, what the word that they don't know is. And the support strategies is what kind of like the support. Okay, what kind of what thing they use to support their reading. For example, okay, we read an academic article, we read a journal, and we didn't understand certain word, certain phrase. So we take a look at a dictionary, or maybe even some of us who is not fluent in English, we will translate it into our native language.
Okay, I think that will be enough. One more question, right? Refer to your research question, your third research question. We wonder how you determine the differences between male and female students' awareness of reading strategies.
Okay, so here we can see the significant detail. Okay, so we know that there are equal variances assumed and equal variances not assumed. So since the significance, the value of significance here is greater than 0.05, because here is 0.069. Okay, we have to take a look at the equal variances assumed. So in here it shows that 0.22 is obviously it is higher than the 0.05, the value that is the p value. The p value is higher than the 0.05. And from here we know that there is no significant difference between male and female.
You mean to say that if the p value here is higher than 0.005, it means no significant.
No significant.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Alright.
If it's under below the 0.05, means that there is significant.
I see. Because it means the capability of in terms of gender is not difference between girls and boys.
Yes, in my sample, yes, there is no difference.
I see. Okay, so you use your explanation regarding your third research problem based on the significance.
Yes.
The significance, data. All right. I think that's all.
Thank you, Dr. for the okay, Assalamualaikum, Dr. and everyone here. Okay, Aina, I think you have a good okay, a good study. Okay, just regarding to Dr. Idrul question just now, I think because it's unclear that in your study, did you mention about the criteria or the elements of the three strategies?
No.
You have to. I think we have to about the elements.
In the questionnaire, I did mention it is on the metacognitive business strategies awareness. But as for the question, I didn't specify. For example, item number 1, this is on the metacognitive strategy. I didn't specify like that.
Secondly, please go to your slides, instrument use. Instrument use. Okay. You just you totally use this for your respondents. How many respondents do you have? How many respondents?
My population is 57, so for the actual study, 42 of them.
Okay, I'm a bit familiar with this survey. Okay, there are 30. How many? 30 items. 30 items. All there, isn't it? All the three strategies. So for those, for each of the strategies, global, support, and the problem solving, there's other there kan the elements. The criteria. Kalau problems apa kan? Kalau you mentioned about it is in your study.
Did I mention it about the study? Yes.
About the elements, global
is one.
Okay, so totally in the 30, how many globals, how many support, how many problem solving there?
I think around 13 for global, 9 for sub. But I think the highest one is the global
Global or problem solving? Because here problem solving, or you mean the element, the criteria?
Kalau divided into three
Saya tak jelaskan tu about that.
I put it all in one document. I didn't
classify.
I didn't classify into each category because I want to because it's about metacognitive strategies, right? It's about what to begin. So I didn't want to alert the respondents like they know, oh, this is global. So
then in your problem statement, you state that respondents cannot be exposed to the various strategies. did you realize that in the, you know, the all those items tu, actually those things they already apply in their daily reading the strategy.
Yes, that's what.
They don't realize it.
That is the problem statement. The problem statement is on how like they are unaware, right? Okay. There are in the findings there are some of them that who is unaware of this strategy.
This is a conventional or action research? Conventional research. Actually, I would like to suggest so every time we make a statement, it should be followed by a reference. Okay? For instance, let's say, respondents have not been exposed to various reading studies in reading academic related materials. Okay? It must be followed by your personal references. Reference. Yes, I think it would be much better if you can do that. Okay. And next time, whenever you create what you call your own questionnaire, okay, make sure you divided your questionnaire into 3 constructs. Let's say this.
It's only one.
Should be 3 constructs. That's why we were talking about that just now. It is more clear if you divided the what you call
Into 3 sections.
into the 3 constructs. You just want to know the construct and the amount of question based on that 3 constructs. We divide them. Yeah. Okay then. So first of all, yes, correct.
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada pembentang pertama. Seterusnya, majlis menjemput pembentang kedua saudari Aina Isyirah binti Abdul Rashid dari unit lesson untuk membentangkan kajian. Dipersilakan.
Yes. Wait for you again. So hold your tongue for that. Pause. Okay. Badan. Mana? Ini saya. Mana? You got this document, right? Actually, we need this document, 2 documents.
Ada 2 ke satu dalam ini? Ada. One ini. The
Declaration form.
One each. You will put those 2 into one and we only have one.
Yeah, 1 copy of declaration form.
Ada satu lagi. Satu di depan belakang. Satu lagi di 2 pages.
That's why we.
Macam ni.
Ini tadi kita pegang mata.
Yang tadi.
Okay.
Okay,
boleh teruskan. Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I greet to the respected panel, Madam Nurliza and Dr. Idrul, and all fellow friends and the person in charge. Alright, for today, I'm going to present my research paper, which entitled Effects of English Video Streaming on Vocabulary Mastery Among Non-TESOL Students in IPG KDRI. So, I'm supervised by Mr. Muhammad Shamsuzaman. And next. Alright, so for today, these are the contents that I'm going to present, which is the first one, introduction, and then second, literature review, methodology, and fourth, finding and discussion, conclusion, and the last one, implication and recommendation. Right. So for the first one, I'm going to talk about the problem statement. So the problem statement here, since I'm focusing on non-TESOL students, non-TESOL student in IPG-KDRI, so there is a limited exposure to English-related courses because they are majoring non-TESOL courses, right?
And then the second one is this interest in reading English material results in demotivation. I have found a research where it says about the readers didn't read unless they have purpose to read. And then research objective. Let's move to the research objective, which is the first one, to analyze students' opinions on vocabulary mastery through English video streaming. Second one, to examine students' performance in vocabulary test score. And the last one, to investigate the relationship between the amount of time spent watching English videos and students' performance in their vocabulary test. So, in relevant to the research objective, so the research questions should be, for the first one, what are students' opinion on vocabulary mastery through English video streaming? And second one, how is students' performance in the vocabulary test score? And the last one, is there any relationship between the amount of time spent streaming English video and their vocabulary test score? Right, so this is my research limitation. So in terms of geographic factors, I limit it to Institut Pendidikan Guru Kampus Datuk Razali Ismail because of the time constraint and accessibility. So in terms of time constraint, it is because of we are constrained with the deadline. And the accessibility, I think it is more easier to access the respondents within my own institution. And the second one is limitation in terms of the respondent, where the respondent are June 2019 non-TESOL students. So I'm focusing on them because we know that they are actually having limited access to English-related courses. And then in terms of contactability, it is because most of the students in batch June 2019 are my acquaintance, where it is easier for me to contact them and ask them to answer the questionnaire. Next. And then let's move to the conceptual framework. So for independent variables, there are two of them, which is opinions of streaming English videos on vocabulary mastery, where it is assisted by the instrument using 5-point Likert scale. And the second one, amount of time streaming English videos, which is also included in the questionnaire. And in the instrument, I also provided vocabulary test, where it is adapted from website Victoria University of Wellington. And then the dependent variables is the effects of English video streaming on vocabulary mastery, where this dependent variables is affected by the independent variables mentioned before. Next. Okay, now let's move to the related theories. Okay, so for this study, I relate the theory from Crescent, where Crescent effective filter hypothesis has emphasized on the motivation, interest, and so on. So this one I'm focusing on the motivation, where there are some research indicates that motivated learners tend to acquire language faster, and videos are recommended valuable resources for language learning acquisition according to Lin 2008. And then we can see that actually learners' motivation increase when video as learning sources, where this is why I'm relating motivation from Crescent effective hypothesis to my study. Alright, and then the second theory is by Howard Gardner multiple intelligence. Since we know in Gardner theories there are nine intelligences, and one of them is visual and spatial. So Howard Gardner emphasized that in a learner there are different intelligences. So I focus for this study, I focus on the visual spatial intelligence, where in relation to the video streaming, we can see we know that there are visual and audio elements that actually can facilitate learning and motivate learners to learn. Next. Alright. So this is there are 3 past researches that I have related to my study. One of them is a study by Mentari 2018 and Badruddin and Zainuddin 2016, where this study did survey research design, and they are investigating the relationship between English video streaming and vocabulary acquisition. So, according to the results, well, we can see that the percent correlation indicates there are positive relationship between English video streaming and vocabulary acquisition. And the third research, where it is from DDF result 2018, he did a study, an action research study, where there is significant improvement in vocabulary mastery upon streaming English video in 4 cycles of vocabulary assessment. Where in this study they did assessment circle by circle, where every time they watch the video, they will have to answer the question. So, according to the result, it indicates that there are positive improvement in each cycle. Alright. So it can be concluded that English video streaming positively affect students' performance in vocabulary mastery, as well as there are positive relationship between English video streaming and vocabulary mastery. Right, let's also do research methodology, where my research design is survey research design, where sampling method I'm using Tarikh Morgan. Population of for my study involved overall 160. For the sample size, according to the Tarikh Morgan table, I'm using 113 respondents. However, results from collecting the questionnaire, I get around 119 respondents, 118, sorry. And the research instrument, I'm using questionnaire where it is adapted from the effect of movie viewing on learning English as furnished by Hsieh et al. 2020. And I also included vocabulary test from Victoria University of Wellington, where I want to know their vocabulary test score. And then, in terms of validity, I asked subject matter expert, which is from JPPI, to validate my instruments, and it turns out that my questionnaire just need minor correction, valid with minor correction. And then moving to pilot study, the pilot study is tested on 16 samples, because I refer to Mikuska 2017, where she said that 15 to 30 samples are good enough for pilot study. So for my pilot study, the reliability test, the value of the alpha combat turns out 0.874, where it is more 0.7, which indicates it is my questionnaire is reliable to be distributed. Next. Okay, let's move to final discussion. Okay, for RQ1, what are students' opinion on vocabulary mastery through English video streaming? By the way, for the data analysis, I'm using SPSS27, where I use descriptive analysis and inferential analysis. For RQ1, I'm using descriptive analysis, where I found a mean, where you can see the descriptives here, and the mean there is 4.47, where the maximum value for the mean is 5, which indicates most of the students agree that the English video streaming can be effective for their vocabulary mastery. Next. For RQ2, how is the student's performance in the vocabulary test score? So this one, I assigned them a vocab test score where it has 30 questions, about 30 questions. So overall for the mean, it turns out 82.80, where the indicators in the descriptors, it indicates that the respondents reached excellent criteria. Alright, next. Okay, for RQ3, is there any relationship between the time spent streaming English videos and the student's vocabulary performance? So according to this one, in one of the question, I asked the amount of time spent streaming English video. So there are five scale of them. One is for never, 2 for 7, sometimes for 3, 4 for often, and always for 5. So according to the findings, it can be seen that the value of the mean is 3.53, where the value it is at the sometimes indicator. So it indicates that most of the students only spend some of their time to watch English video. Next. So continue to the RQ3. This one I'm using Pearson correlation, where it turns out that the Pearson correlation value, the relationship between the time spent and the test score, it turns out the Pearson correlation value turns 0.565, which indicates that it is a positive relationship. That meaning that the higher the amount of time, the higher the vocab test the score can be. Right, next. So from the findings, we can conclude that majority of the students agree that English videos can be beneficial for their vocabulary mastery. And second one, the level of their vocabulary tests are at excellent level, most of them, which is 83% of them. And then the last one, increased amount of time streaming English videos can lead to high vocabulary tests. Okay, next. So for implication I emphasize on two parties, which is students and institution. For students, so we can see that English video streaming actually can be a learning sources for them to learn English outside formal learning settings. So this actually at the same time can encourage lifelong learning, meaning even though they are not entering English courses, they are actually they actually can learn English as well outside the class by watching their favorite videos. Even it can be from social media, from YouTube, from Netflix, and so on. And next one is instructors. Instructors can provide the course-related references in English language, meaning that, so for example, now I'm focusing on non-tester students, which is Pendidikan Islam and Bahasa Melayu majors, where I noticed that there are the instructors can actually use English language references to fulfill the needs of their courses. Like for example, pendidikan jasmani, let's say, maybe the anatomy and so on. There are a lot of English references compared to Malay language. So they with the test score, the lecturer can actually see what are the students' level of the vocabulary mastery. And then for future research recommendation, so this one I'm focusing on the, I'm suggesting that in future research, I'm going to test the respondents with low vocabulary mastery, where those students who have low vocabulary test score will have to go through pre-test, and then I will ask them to answer. I will ask them to watch the video and then to see their improvement after watching the video. Because the test after that, I'm testing the vocabulary based on the video that I provided. So each cycle I can see if there are any significant improvement. If they are with the use of English videos, does that actually effective enough to improve their vocabulary? Alright, I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Aina, Ishira. Thanks for your presence. Alright. First of all, I would like to say congratulations because you have presented your presentation very well. But there is something that you need to. We would like to say something that can upgrade the quality of your research. Okay. Aina Inshira, the title of your research is Effects of English Video Streaming. When you say English video streaming, it means any type of videos, English videos.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, it can be movie, it can be TikTok videos, it can be YouTube videos, anything that is video format. It should be in the category.
Okay, refer to your research methodology, right?
Research methodology.
Are you using the same tools? I mean the same questionnaire.
Same questionnaire. You mean adapted? They've already adapted.
You adapt or you totally use without adapt or without
With adaptation. Adaptation.
you adapt, huh?
Yeah, I adapt and then get validity, the validity from the API.
Okay, it means the questionnaire there is your questionnaire.
Questionnaire that is affected from his research of his.
Okay, that questionnaire had been through the adaptation process. That one.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, we wonder why you use the effect of movie viewing.
Movie viewing.
Just now you said
Video.
in general we are using any type of English videos, if I'm not mistaken, just now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So why you using movie viewing then?
Because the movie also have the elements of visual and audio. So actually, movie also considered as video, but this researcher is focusing on the movie, but I'm generalizing it. So that's why I adapt the questionnaire.
Okay, so what is the difference between that questionnaire and your questionnaire?
It's just that maybe the question, the movie helped me to learn vocab. So mine, the video helped me to learn vocab. I just twist the language a little bit.
See, okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for your clarification. Okay, one more thing. When I go to your what you call your finding of the research, okay, based on the data given. The RQ3. RQ3.
Yeah. Okay.
You are using the terms relationship. Okay. Based on the research, the conventional research, when we touch on the relationship between the two variables, it means the what we call the data that we need to use is in relation to correlation. All right, correlation. So based on your RQ3, you haven't stated any statement regarding the relationship between the two variables. Okay, there are English videos, the time spent streaming videos, and the students' vocabulary performance. So where is your performance statement regarding the what you call in relation to the relationship between the time and the performance?
You try to go to the next slide. One more.
That one is RQ, or that one is the continuation of RQ
Yes,
or RQ3.
Yeah, because
see, okay.
The first one is I found out the amount of time first, and then after that
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, I understood. Yeah. All right. So, what is the meaning of moderately positive then? What is your interpretation regarding what you call the correlation? Okay, the moderately positive correlation.
This one
Based on your
understanding.
understanding.
Okay, from my understanding, all right. So it is indicated as positive if the value started from 0.01. But if totally zero, it is no association. So even the difference is only 0.01 until 1, it indicates it has positive relationship. Yeah.
Yes, positive relationship, but moderately positive, the location of the figure is in between weakly positive and moderately positive. So what is your interpretation regarding that values?
From my understanding, the level of the positivity is in intermediate level.
So actually you have to emphasize on the interpretation of that figure regarding the what you call the students' vocabulary performance in relation to time spent streaming videos.
Yeah.
Okay, you must emphasize on more in detail regarding the correlation. Okay, that's our suggestion. All right. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you for the suggestion.
Right.
Assalamualaikum semua. Ina. Okay, thank you for the presentation. Simple je. Kita ada part of only the confusing here is confusing. It seems like something that big contrast. Tak ada contrast a bit lah, ya. Okay. We look at your research limitation. June 2019 non-TESOL students limited exposure to English courses. Okay. And the contactability. That is your limitation lah. Okay, and then you look at your conclusions. Go to conclusions. The conclusions, the level of vocab masters for overall students is excellence. Tadi limit, tapi you dapat excellence. Macam mana tu? Okay, tadi limited of exposure to English courses. Tapi kat sini you the conclusions, excellence. Level of vocab masters, excellence.
I see. So can you please go to the data for
RQ2.
RQ2? Okay. So as you can see, the mean value here is 82.8. The statement there is just based on the indicator because this descriptors is actually adapted from a study by Tarikh. Alright, so for my opinion, because the difference between 82 and 81 is not that much, so I consider as that is actually not good enough. Their vocabulary is not good enough because it just 81, just different one score from that. Maybe if the score is more than 90, I think it is considered as more excellent. But this one, because I'm still a novice, right? So I'm adapting this from a research. Yeah, I'm using these descriptors just for my data interpretation and data presentation in my thesis.
Okay. Go back to your research limitations.
What is the difference between mean and mean? The two mean.
Minimum, this one is mean, the average.
That was minimum.
Yeah, the minimum. The values here means that the lowest score for their vocabulary test score is 40.
Alright, why you use the term percent there, whereas the data shows the mean? Is it the same figure between mean and percentage?
No, this one, the score percentage here. So actually there are 30 questions for my vocabulary test. So I converted that value 30 to percentage value because the descriptors here is using in percent. So let's say the respondents got 25 over 30. So I will have to multiply that 25 over 30 with 100 to get the percent because the score, the descriptors here is using the percentage in format of using percentage.
Something unclear here because between mean and percentage is a different thing. So you need to be clear on this figure. So may refer to your supervisor. Alright, about this interpretation. Based on the figure given. Okay then.
Research limitation though. Kan, research limitations. Okay, any non-TESOL here? Any non? Okay, kita tanya dia. June 2019 non-TESOL students, dia kata limited exposure to English courses, kan? So, what are your expectations towards this untuk non-TESOL ni? Dia nak bagi course English apa lagi kata?
You mean how do I actually to give more exposure
To English courses, what do you mean by that?
What do I mean by this? So actually, you know that even though during those primary and secondary education, right? They learn English, but only for their English subjects. But specifically in IPGKDRI, in IPGM courses, you know that when it comes to those non-TESOL students, they don't. Maybe they have English courses, they have the elective, but they might not take that as their minor or elective. So that's why I'm saying that maybe some of the respondents or the participants or the non-TESOL students are having limited exposure to English courses.
Okay, what about you? What do you think? You want more English in your courses? Extra English?
So maybe in the application, I would suggest to the IPGM to provide more English courses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the one is very important. The figure, the figure and the terms. That actually when use that what you call that tools to what you call evaluate dia bukan batasan actually. Kalau mean is different with what you call percentage. So that's how you have to convert mean to percentage because you are not evaluate your data by using percentage. You use mean. Well, that's why you have to go to refer to your supervisor regarding that because the wrong interpretation of the data will give bad consequences regarding to your interpretation of the data of your research.
Sorry, but if I might ask, you notice that just now my descriptors is using in percentage value, right? So what if I just maintain the score without converting that into percentage? Like for example, they get 25 correct answers, right? And then so meaning that for my data analysis on the mean, I'm using the solid value, which is 1 until 30, not converting that into percentage.
You can use that data, but you must put the percentage there. The percentage of the mark. Okay? The whole percentage, maybe, yeah, the percentage of the mark. You should be attached the percentage value of the marks at the data. Okay? Selain, beside mean. Okay? Sebab you are using percentage. You analyze the data by using percentage.
Yeah, because the numbers of application only 30, but because the descriptors that I added from a research by Mentari, that one, the descriptors describe the scores using percentage, meaning for just like mine. If they have 50 questions, they will have to multiply the correct answer over the total of the question with 100.
Do you get me?
No, not to get the mean. It's just that just as the descriptors to indicate which level is the respondent's vocabulary test score. Because you know, even in exam, right? Even though they have only 50 questions, they will have to convert to percentage.
Yeah. Actually, you need to clarify. Yes, correct. The interpretation of the data based on the mean and the percentage as well. All right. You make a founder of that statement.
What if in the first stage, in the first stage, I just directly analyze the data using
Percentage.
Not percentage. The one with until 1 until 30, and then after I get the mean, after that I convert it into percentage.
Yes. I think that is
the proper way.
The proper way, correct. Okay. So we try to avoid from being confused regarding your interpretation based on the data given. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion.
You're welcome.
Seterusnya menjemput pembentang yang terakhir iaitu saudari Nur Adilah binti Muhammad Zain dari desa untuk membentang dan kajian. Dipersilakan.
Boleh tak aku mau for a second? I'm going to ease myself first. Okay? You know, old man like me, eh? Sampai di US dan sidang. Ini dia punya masa. Okay. 4 minutes.
Countdown.
Sekejap. Tidur dah bagi. Bagi. Mana yang tadi? That's it.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Dah masuk ke dalam. Ni ada yang lagi. Hai. So, ni. Tak ini punya ni. Ah, dah. Dari sana.
Yang ni saya atas ni ya. Dari sini ya.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good morning to all the panels and also my fellow presenters and also the person in charge in this room. My name is Nur Adila binti Muhammad Zain. I'm the supervisor of Madam Salma binti Abdul Razak. Let's start with the introduction of my research. On 16 March 2020, our former Prime Minister Tan Sri Mahyidin Mat Yassin has introduced the implementation of Movement Control Order, or we usually know as MCO, because of the pandemic outbreak COVID-19. And by referring to the letter, the broadcast letter issued by IPGM on 18 March 2020, in terms of academic management, all the lectures, all the tutorials, and also face-to-face teaching and learning sessions will be conducted in online. This was supported by Season 2 in 2010. Online learning is inevitable because because the pandemic demands it for the safety of the teachers and also the students. And started from 18 March 2020, IPGM has implemented online learning for all programs. Okay, we start with my problem statement. According to the study from Fabio in 2020, internet connection, negative environment, and also lack of devices become as the aspect of student satisfaction in online learning. And according to the result of this study, internet connection becomes the main aspect of student dissatisfaction
according to Hamad Asai and also Muklit in 2020, second language learners misperception of English literature as the most difficult subject because of the vocabulary, the sentences, the ideas, and also the complicated activities in online learning. And TESOL students who study the literature subject also affected with the implementation of online literature learning. Next. Okay, so for my research objective is to identify the IPG-KDRI student satisfaction level with learning literature online. Second, it is to identify the dominant factor for student satisfaction in learning literature online. So basically, there are three factors, which are the learner's dimension, the technology characteristic, and also the instructor characteristic. And lastly, it is to identify the differences between male and female student satisfaction with learning literature online. And for my research question, the first one is what is the satisfaction level of IPG-KDRI students with learning literature online? Second, what is the dominant factor for student satisfaction in learning literature online? And the third, the last one is there any difference between male and female student satisfaction with learning literature online? Okay, next. So the research hypothesis that I have made is there is no difference between male and female student satisfaction with learning literature online. Next, let's move to the theoretical framework. There are two theories. The first one is the flipped classroom, which is the combination of the technology with learning. According to Gilboy et al. In 2014, flipped classroom enables the student to interact with teachers, peers, and learning materials both during and outside of lecture time. And according to Jacob Bishop too, in 2014, a pedagogical approach that uses technology to increase learning chances for students known as flipped classroom. Okay, how this is related to my study because during online learning we use Google Classroom, we use Google Meet, we use WhatsApp, we use Telegram to communicate with the lecturers. And for the next one is the social constructivism by Lev Vygotsky. The key ideas here is the person learns through social interaction. And a young person learns a lot of crucial information through social interaction with knowledgeable instructor, according to Vygotsky in 1978. So this relates with the online learning method, which we have here is the synchronous, and also the combination of these two, which we call as hybrid learning. So for my conceptual framework, for independent variable, it consists of three factors here: the learner's dimension, technology characteristic, and also instructor characteristic. And for dependent variable, the satisfaction level of TESOL June 2020 intake student. And all these three factors will affect the satisfaction level of TESOL June 2020 intake students. Okay, for the first researchers, the first one is by Nur Azuhanu, Nur Syed, Fatihah Muhammad Karuzaman, and Nur Ain Sulaiman on the research entitled Online Learning Ongoing COVID-19 Pandemic, a survey of student satisfaction. So according to this research, the study revealed that the students had positive satisfaction towards online learning and accepted this as the new learning system. And according to past research by Dilma Simpson entitled Students' Perception on Quality and Satisfaction, according to the result of this study too, the students who reported being comfortable with online learning were more likely to be satisfied with their online learning. Okay, so here is the part of my methodology. For my research respondent, I'm using the purposive sampling method. It consists of 72 TESOL June 2020 intake students. I take it 50 from my pilot study, and for my real study, it is the total of the respondent is 57. For my research approach, I'm using quantitative approach, and for the research design, I'm using survey, where I distributed the online questionnaire by using 7 liquid scale. For the instrument, the survey consists of two sections. The first one is the demographic information, and the second one is the factors of student satisfaction. For the demographic information, it consists of 3 items. The first one is gender, age, and also unit.
For the factors of student satisfaction, I divided it into 3 parts, which differentiate with the 3 factors. The first is the learner's dimension, second technology characteristic, and also the third one is the instructor characteristic. For the data analysis, I'm using the SPSS version 27 to analyze 2 data, the descriptive analysis and also inferential statistics. Next, for my pilot study, I'm take for 15 respondents. It is supported by Malhotra in 2008. The sample size for pilot study should be minimal, ranging from 15 to 30 respondents. And for my Crumble Alpha, the result from this is 0.87, which shows that the result is above the level of acceptability, which supported by Sekarang in 2016. For the data collection procedure, the survey had been distributed through Google Form via WhatsApp, and it takes me around 1 month to collect all the data. Okay, next, this is the 5-level mean score scale, which I had used to analyze the data for research question 1 and research question 2. The reason why I'm using the 5-level mean score scale is because I'm using the 7-Likert scale in my questionnaire. Okay, for the finding and discussion for the research question 1, what is the student satisfaction level with learning literature online? So the result from here is I get 6.55, which is very high. Next. For the research question 2, what is the dominant factor for student satisfaction with learning literature online? So according to this table, it can be seen that the instructor characteristic become the dominant factor for student satisfaction, and it shows the highest mean than these 2 factors, which is the learner's dimension for the second dominant, and the third one is the technology characteristic for the third dominant character. The third dominant factor. Next. Okay, for the research question 3, is there any difference between male and female students with learning literature online? So according to the significance, the p-value, I get 0.74, which is more than 0.05, which means that there is no significant difference between the gender. For the conclusion, so overall, the findings of the study found that the level of satisfaction of students learning literature online is at a high level, which is the mean we get is 6.55. This is aligned with the past research by Nur Azwa Hanum, which also stated the level of satisfaction is also high. And the second result, the findings of the study show that the dominant factor for student satisfaction with learning literature online is the instructor characteristic factor. We showed the dominant factors for my research question 2. And the last one is the finding of the study show that there is no significant difference between male students and also female students, because the p-value is 0.74, which is higher than 0.05. So the null hypothesis is accepted. Okay. For my suggestion, for further research, this research can be conducted with bigger size sample that includes other IPG campuses, because the respondent that I use is just including this IPG. For second suggestion, future research can focus on other areas like mathematics, music, and also physical education, because this research only focusing on literature subject. And the last one, future researcher can include factors that lead to student dissatisfaction with online learning, as this research only focus on the satisfaction factors only. For my implication, the first one is for the institute. It is hoped that it can be used as a reference to provide better facilities for online learning to take place. This is because, according to my items, for the technology characteristic, the lowest mean for the item is related with the question that is related with internet connection. For example, I have access to a stable connection, to a stable internet connection at campus.
So this item show the lowest mean. And for the lecture, it is a guide to the lecturers to improve their responsiveness levels towards students' question during online learning. This is because, according to my items 2, in the instructor characteristic, the highest mean for the item is related with the responsiveness level to the lecturers, by the lecturers, towards the student question. I think that's all.
Terima kasih atas pembentaran sebentar tadi. Majlis diteruskan dengan sesi soal jawab.
Alright, okay, no, you're from Tesla. So what unit are you in? Which unit are you in?
We only have one test.
Oh, only you tunggal. Alright then, not Adila. Actually, I would like to know further, indeed, regarding your sampling method. Yes, I would like you to elaborate in detail regarding how you regarding your sampling selected method. So how you select your respondent, because we need further clarification, because actually you stated that we have said the population is 72 Tasso, June 2020, if not mistaken. Is that correct? Okay. And when you implemented your pilot study with 57 respondents, is that correct? Okay. So it means you have select your respondents randomly. Okay. So how do you use purposive sampling method? Because actually you have select your respondent randomly. Could you please elaborate or in more detail?
So actually for this, I'm not using the Kaji and Morgan table because I'm using the Creswell. According to Creswell, if it is from a small population that you need to take all the respondents, okay, excluding the pilot study. So why I'm using purposive sampling method, according to my reading, there's actually a type of purposive sampling method, and one of them is the total sampling method. So this becomes the reason why I'm taking all the 57 respondents.
So it means, based on your research, your respondent is 72 respondents altogether.
Yes.
Okay. But based on your pilot study, the respondent of your pilot study is 57.
15 for pilot study.
Oh, 15, okay.
So the left respondent is 57 respondents.
The 57 respondents, 57 respondents. It means the total of your
The real study respondent.
whole research is 57 respondents, right? Okay. Alright. That's all from me.
Actually, okay, apa ni? Ada bilang. Saya a bit, memang banyak confused. Because your intro ni kan, your introduction, your topic title satisfactions of learning literature online. Okay. Lepas tu your intro, you are informing about the MCO semua kan? Because of sebab tu ada online. Okay, fine. Then your problem statement, internet connections. So significant dekat sini apa? There's no significant. Ada tak slide significant? Tak ada kan?
Ada research objective. The third research objective.
Significant difference.
No, this is difference between male and female. Significance of your study. For the whole three, for the whole, how many questions
This is
you have?
objective.
Three, yeah. RO and RQ.
Mm-hmm.
What the significance of all?
The first significance is because the literature is not an easy subject to be learned. So this becomes the main reason why I do this study.
Literature is not just a subject to learn.
It's
It
not
is one of the
yes, because it is not an easy subject to be learned during online. This is supported by So this is supported by Hamad Al-Sayyid and Mukhlid in 2020. The second language learner means perception of English literature as the most difficult subject because of the vocabulary, the sentences, and also the complicated actions during the online learning.
Can your finding of research answer all the three research questions?
Yes.
The first answer is
The first is the satisfaction level
high, moderate, or low?
is high. Is high.
High, yeah?
Yes.
This is in the class lah. Dia kata literature is not learning through online. Tapi you got satisfaction dia high level. Kan? Level of satisfaction among respondents high. Kan? Tapi dia bagi tahu tu yang problem statement tu dia kata literature is not to learn. It's online.
It's not easy to do.
So dominant factors pula with learning online instructor characteristic. It is everywhere here. It's not focusing to the saya yang
Learning literature online. Research question.
literature is not to learn online. Dia kata tapi dia confusion dia kata level of satisfaction high level.
Berkaitan dengan learning literature online.
Because sebenarnya final study found that level of satisfaction learning literature online high level. Tapi dia kata, saya kata is not about significance. Dia kata significance tu yang tadi apa tu dia kata? It's focusing to the topic. It's a domino factor. Kita ada satisfaction level high. Okay, so Adila, you explain that satisfaction level high. Satisfied with the learning literature online. Tetapi you kata yang base tadi tu, based on research tu, dia kata literature is not to learn online.
It's not easy to be learned online.
Problem statement. Focus on it, but the word with, I think it's not proper. Should be towards.
Towards online.
Yeah, I think it will be much better. Not even towards online learning. Alright.
Well, the problem statement states does the student affected with the implementation of online? Okay. In this,
Does the students also affected with the implementation?
problem solving affected implementation of online, tetapi satisfy conclusion dia higher satisfaction. Kenapa tak? Isn't that contrast with the problem statement kan? Masalah ni, masalah ini. Tetapi in conclusion, satisfy level high level.
Oh, actually problem statement ni yang
Affected kan? Affected ni affected maksudnya affected.
in terms of satisfaction and dissatisfaction between the two terms.
Okay, what do you mean by does the student affected with the implementation of online?
Because according to my item, the questionnaire, it consists of 3 factors. The first one is the learner's dimension. So the items there focus on the learner's dimension only. For the technology characteristic, there's also about the gadgets, the stable connection.
No, I mean the affected. Affected with what? Implementation. Do you mean by does it affected with the implementation? Ataupun they are the one that tidak kata affect ataupun terlibat. Affect lain tau. Affect means memberi kesan on online literature learning.
Well, actually, what do you mean by affected based on your research?
Affected because previous during the traditional method, teaching and learning section, they learn it physical. They learn literature physical. But then during the MCO, they need to learn the literature through online.
Yes, but that is the process of teaching and learning process based on the online learning approach. But you must be more specific on the meaning of affected there, based on the research. What is the meaning of affected in relation to the topic of your research? Do you mean?
Because your introductions, okay, so kita tak nampak benda sekarang. So tiba-tiba masuk semua nak problem statement kan. Significance bila kita tak nampak, introduction, background, why, kan. You just come up with the MCO, broadcast letters, kan. Implementations of online literature, kan. So
Is it related with the two concept, which is satisfaction, the student satisfaction, and the student's dissatisfaction regarding the online literature learning? In terms of that, is that the area that one? Is that the what I call the meaning of affected that you want to try to say? Affected. Yes, the student's satisfaction and satisfaction. Regarding the online literature learning. Yeah.
dominant factor dia apa?
The dominant factor. What is the dominant factor?
Is the distracted.
The instructor.
What do you mean by instructor characteristics?
For example, I am satisfied with the responsiveness level by lecturers towards my question during online. I have satisfied with my lecturer supportiveness towards my question during online. That's two of the examples.
So, what it means, regarding the research questions, based on the data, so the students feel satisfied with learning literature online, all right, and then they try to access what is the dominant factors for the students' satisfaction, okay, in learning literature online. So the dominant factors based on the finding of the research is the lecturer or the instructor factors.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Okay. We suggest. Okay. We propose you to refer to your supervisor and discuss this issue with him. So that who is supervisor? Madam Salma. This is the issue that you need to make a clarification. Okay. And make sure that you discuss with her, with Madam Salma, regarding that issue, and try to elaborate in more detail regarding that issue. What is the meaning of affected based on your research? Okay, I think that's all. I think. Okay. So anything else from Madam Melissa?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Terima kasih. Alhamdulillah, dengan berakhirnya pembentangan itu tadi, maka berakhirlah sesi pembentangan kita pada pagi ini. Tahniah diucapkan kepada siswa guru yang telah berjaya membentangkan kajian pada hari ini. Diharapkan agar semua siswa guru dapat menerima segala komen yang membina dan cadangan penambahbaikan dengan hati yang terbuka daripada para panel penilai untuk pemantapan dan pemurnian laporan kajian selepas ini. Bunga dedap di atas para anak susun pasar pendidikan. Andai tersilap tutur bicara dari susun maaf ini. Majlis mengucapkan jutaan terima kasih kepada panel-panel penilai, para pensyarah, siswa guru SPP KDRI dan para hadirin yang sudi bersama-sama mengikuti seminar pada hari ini. Sekian wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Majlis bersaudara.